Dr. K, how to manage trust issues with porn addiction. So I'm in a distance relationship. I found out that my boyfriend watches porn. Before we started to be together, he used to watch it very often. Then he promised to stop, but I found out it was a lie. He was telling me that the problem was solved, that he doesn't do it anymore. Yet after a few months, then after another year, I found out he kept lying to me. I wanted to break up, but he managed to convince me to stay, and he promised again that he won't do it anymore. It was very hard for me for a long time, and we've been together for a few years now, but the trust has never come back truly, and other issues have come along. I watched Dr. K's video about porn addiction on the YouTube channel. It did give me some more information about how the addiction goes and so on. Dr. K was very understanding towards the problem and brought some help to brave guys that decided to come on stream. Dr. K, could you bring some help for girlfriends of addicts? I believe there's many girls that are with gamers or even not gamers but just regular guys that have the same problem. Things that I struggle with, except for the trust, are low self-esteem, feeling not enough, feeling not desired, feeling not comfy, and shy when being naked, obsessed with worries during intimate moments, as if he thinks of porn scenes, feeling very bad during any sex scene when we watch movies. At some point, I understand that the problem isn't about me, that it's about him, but still it brings all of the above. Will it ever go away? What do I do to make it go away? The situation between us is that we don't talk about it anymore. I used to try, but he was very ashamed many times. He was just nodding and agreeing to my point of view, but he wasn't really open to talk to himself. It happened only when I started the talk. And also the conversations about it were mostly bringing more pain and sadness. I wish to get better. I wish to help for myself. I wish to be help for myself and him, and I just don't know what to do. This is a fantastic post and unfortunately a very common problem. So let's try to recap, okay? So sometimes people watch pornography. Sometimes they watch a lot of pornography. Then they enter into relationships and the pornography becomes kind of an issue. So it's a little bit unclear how we get here, but at some point people who will be addicted to pornography will promise their partner that they don't watch porn. And then eventually they'll fail to keep that promise. And then time will go by, they'll promise again, fail to keep the second one, so on and so forth, right? So like this creates a lot of problems in the relationship. It damages trust. It makes it hard for people to communicate. This is a really classic situation. When someone watches pornography in a relationship, it can make the partner feel very insecure and insufficient because there they are having their sexual gratification, looking at a particular kind of beauty aesthetic, and my body doesn't match that, right? So like, is my partner truly attracted to me, or am I just like the best that they can get? Like, do they really want to be with someone like who's in the porno, or do they want to be with me? Are they just settling with me? It like creates all these issues, which are really common. So how do we approach this? The first thing to understand is that people make promises of abstinence out of fears and wants, not what they're capable of, okay? So what do I... Hold on a second. Where's my phone? There it is. Okay, sorry. So the first thing to understand is that when people make promises of abstinence in a relationship with porn addiction, they do so out of fear of the consequences and like what they want, right? So I'm going to be brave and I'm going to promise you something because I care about you and I'm afraid of what's going to happen if I don't promise it, right? But when we think about dealing with an addiction, keeping your promise is not like a good way to fuel motivation. It's an insufficient motivation to deal with an addiction. Just my general experience as an addiction psychiatrist. So if I swear to you that I'm never going to drink again, that doesn't actually lead to me not drinking. So if we think about promises are emotionally driven, right? They're like, I'm in this moment, I'm so like, oh my God, I'm so bad I hurt you. I'm so mad I hurt you. I don't want to ever hurt you again. I swear. That's an emotionally driven decision. When you have an emotionally driven decision, the motivation behind it is going to wane as your emotions equilibrate, which is normal, okay? So the human brain is designed to always return emotions to baseline. This is why, despite having the most awesome win in League of Legends 6 months ago, you are still not happy today. The happiness just doesn't last. The sadness just doesn't last. The emotions just don't last. It's the way that our brain is designed. So as the promise, so we have an emotion, we make a promise. As the emotion wanes, the promise is prone to fall apart. So the first thing to understand is don't make promises that are driven by like emotions in relationships around porn addiction, okay? The second thing is communication is key. So this is where what I would recommend to girlfriends of partners who are watching porn is that you ask them questions about why they watch it. You need to understand what their motivations behind the pornography is. Because this in turn can help a lot of your insecurities. You may discover all kinds of things like, oh, like I wouldn't watch porn if we were able to be sexually active, but I just have sexual needs and I'd much prefer you, but we're in a long distance relationship, so I just like use it to get some degree of sexual release. It's sort of like more of a physiologic thing or a mechanical thing, as opposed to like, I don't find you attractive or other things like that, right? So there are all kinds of reasons that people will watch porn. Especially if you look at people who are addicted to pornography, a lot of the reason that they watch porn has nothing to do with sexuality or desire. It has everything to do with internal emotional regulation, coping with negative emotions. That's why people watch porn. That's why people get addicted to porn, right? If I'm having a bad day and I watch porn and I jerk off, then what happens is I feel better, and like that pain from earlier in the day, like that emotional pain goes away. I get that hit of dopamine, I get that rush from ejaculation, and then I kind of feel better. So in terms of like the insecurities that your partner may have, like once they understand why you watch porn, hopefully some of those insecurities will be dealt with. And the third thing to do is to have a conversation about the insecurities, right? So I think communication here is key. Non-judgmental communication is key. And for you to share with your partner, hey, I feel insecure about like being naked. I feel embarrassed, especially because you watch porn. Because my body does not look like the people's bodies in porn. And so when you share that with your partner, what they're gonna do is they'll say, they're gonna feel hurt. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm hurting you. Like, no, I love you so much. I swear I'll never watch porn. That's a mistake. Don't do that, okay? Don't change your behavior. Don't make any behavioral changes at the beginning. Just have a conversation where you're listening, because at that point, the partner isn't even listening. They're trying to fix it, right? They're not even hearing you anymore. They're trying to make it go away. And if you're trying to make things go away, that's what's going to result in the promise. That's what's going to result in making a promise that you can't keep and is going to decay the trust. So it starts with a conversation. It starts with very practically, can you help me understand what you like about watching porn? Can you help me understand why you watch porn? What does it do for you? Are you concerned about your porn use? Are you okay with it? If I was okay with it, would you be okay with it? You know, here are my concerns about your pornography use. Here are my insecurities in the relationship. Let's talk about those. So I think that if you're thinking about rebuilding trust, it has to do with like people not reassuring each other. It has to do with people not jumping to conclusions, because the next time he promises, you don't know what to believe because you don't know what's in his head. You don't know what's in his head. You just know that what's coming out of his mouth, right? And you know some of his behaviors. That's not how you build trust. Building trust is about understanding where the other person is. Building trust is about recognizing what is in the other person's head and accepting what is in the other person's head. Even if we decide we want to change it, you have to start by accepting it. Okay, I understand that you're addicted to pornography. I understand that you don't want to be addicted to pornography. I understand that you do find sexual relationship with me to be gratifying, and that this is going to take time and that we should work on it. I don't want you to promise. I'm just curious, where do you think you can start? Do you think is it like a cutting back kind of thing? Like what's a reasonable place to start? Don't go straight for the 100%. Like, what's the first step we need to take? Not where we want to go. Forget about the goal. Where can we start? So it involves having a conversation about understanding why they use porn. Like, what does it do for them? Sharing your insecurities, understanding their insecurities, not jumping to solutions, not jumping to conclusions, and having conversations, and then the two of y'all together coming up with like, what can we agree on? You know, what's the foundation that both of us are going to be operating from? And that's how you rebuild trust, and it's also how you overcome negative behaviors in relationships.